Hi, friends. How are you all? I hope you're doing well by the grace of God. Whatever is happening around us, it's so much better to just go to the Word of God as a to receive some counsel and guidance and direction and all the wisdom that we can get and glean from the Word of God. Luke 23:28. When God says, "Daughters, why do you weep for me? Weep for yourselves and for your children." At that time, I am sure we are on His mind. We were on His mind. He is God. He knows the future and the future generations and everybody. And so at that time, when He mentioned that to those women at that time who were weeping, and His statement to them, it applies to us these days. In fact, it is the most suitable thing for us these days. As moms, we love our children to pieces, and we are always there to protect them. That kind of love and that kind of care for them, only God put in our hearts to love them like that. And so, as part of loving, we have to pray for them so much, especially at a time like this. I don't know if you know what's happening, or if you have noticed or heard or watching or keeping up with what's happening. It's alarming. It's disturbing. It is gruesome, I should say. Satan has its forces working at such high levels, and they are out to get our children. We cannot pull our children from our schools, but we can pray that God would protect their minds and hearts. They need so much protection these days. You cannot believe how much, and we can not provide them that kind of protection by any means besides prayer. Satan is out to get them at such a basic thing, causing confusion on an area that's like the most basic common sense. And adults exist in the lives of those children to create or to provide clarity for their confusions and doubts. Instead, they are banking on those doubts and confusions, which are very temporary, and they are out to destroy their lives permanently. You might be wondering what I'm talking about. The basic gender, even before the baby is born, the ultrasound reveal if the baby is a boy or a girl. And even to those who don't want to know and keep it as a secret, at the time of birth, it is evident by observation. It is not assigned. The baby is not assigned a gender of boy or girl. It is observed. Basic common sense. You look at the baby and you tell if the baby is a boy or a girl. And then these babies, when they grow up and at puberty, it is very normal to have some confusions. It is very normal to experience that changes and emotionally, physically, and they may not be happy with what's happening. And that doesn't mean they need to change themselves and become the opposite of what they are. A boy cannot become a girl cannot become a boy. God created them however He pleased. So we as parents, we need to have such love for our children these days that they will be able to come to us for any kind of confusion or doubts or anything whatsoever that's on their minds that is causing any kind of confusions. And we exist in their lives to create and provide such clarity. But what's happening in schools is these kids, because of the phones that they have and the online resources that they have, they're turning to them as for answers and they are trying to gain clarity from online groups, which is not the wise thing to do. So, and then because of the influence of the online resources and the peer groups, they are being forced and then drawn towards trying to convert themselves or change themselves or become what they are not. People online are encouraging them to say, oh, you can be happy if you become this. A girl can become a boy and be happy, and vice versa. Can you believe the craziness in that? But that is happening, especially in high schools and middle schools. And the counselors and the teachers and the board members are supporting them by affirming those doubts and encouraging them to go change their bodily parts. So as soon as the child has any kind of confusion, they talk to their friends, and then their friends talk to their look at the online groups and resources and those videos, and then they draw support from among themselves into these crazy ideas, and then they go to these counselors in schools who are supporting them and encouraging them to do that. And then the horrifying thing is they are keeping it as a secret from parents. I mean, once the school day is out, every day after the school is done, where do the kids go? To their parents, right? How can you keep such things from the parents? But they are. And then I don't know why the children are also keeping these things as secrets. Like girls who are not happy with what's happening with them and they want to become boys are using things like binders to bind their chest area so that it doesn't look like a girl, and they want it to be looking flat. And because they cannot keep up with that kind of way to hide themselves, they are resorting themselves to horrifying medical procedures as double mastectomy. Healthy organs of a girl are being removed by doctors. And then when they have these kind of doubts, they go to a pediatrician, and then they refer them to gender clinics. And this is the most horrifying place for these children. They pump into their bodies opposite gender hormones and try to block puberty, and then so far to go and get double mastectomy and create the body parts that does not exist. Like, girls don't have boy parts, and these surgeries exist where these surgeons remove skin layers and different things from their arms to create a body part that looks like a boy's part for a girl. I cannot even begin to explain these things. This is the most horrifying thing happening to our teenagers, and this is causing so much stress to parents because of the threats that they receive, that if you don't affirm and encourage what your child wants for their happiness, they will commit suicide. This is the sentence that these adults are using to threaten parents, as a result of which one of the parent decides to side with the child and one parent decides to use common sense. But guess what? The parent who uses common sense is overpowered, and it is driving parents to depression and sleepless nights. And the parent who's trying to listen and affirm and encourage the child, instead of telling this is a passing thing, it is a very normal thing to have these doubts, it'll pass away, you will be happy in your own skin and how God made you, just give it some time. And then these children, and one with the support of one parent and school, are going ahead with these surgeries, hormones, puberty blockers, only realizing the damage that is done to them, which is permanent, after a couple of years. But then the damage is done. There's nothing they can do about it now. And not everybody has the resources to sue these doctors and these psychiatrists and these surgeons. Search YouTube for further information and resources. Just search transitioners and detransitioners. Detransitioners is the one that will give you more idea of what happened, because these people, these teenagers are coming out, no longer afraid of anybody, and they're voicing out what has happened to them and that it is permanent. First of all, nobody is telling them that these are permanent damages. They're telling that, oh, you will be happy if you do this, and then they're ruining the lives of these children, boys trying to become girls and vice versa. Can you believe what's happening? Unless we as parents pray for our kids and guards their hearts and minds, they cannot be rescued from this danger. I mean, whatever I'm saying in this video is not even telling you half of what's happening. So please, I plead with you, pray and weep and be alert and be watchful. Observe your teenagers super closely and make sure they don't hide anything from you, and give them all the love that they need so that they will come to you for all their doubts and confusions, and give them the clarity that they want, and encourage them that God has made them beautiful and that they will grow into normal people. Everything is normal, and that the puberty is just a passing thing, that they will get adjusted with the changes. Please encourage them, pray for them, and weep for yourselves and for your children. And there are cases where one of the parent is jailed because he or she stands for common sense, and they are being jailed. Imagine that. The parent who's trying to understand that this is just a passing thing, it'll pass, and that I will not support my child to go through these horrific surgeries, they are being jailed. And then this whole thing is causing divorces between the parents. So families are breaking up, kids are being ruined, lives are destroyed. Please observe what's happening around you and pray for others, not just for your children. Pray for others in their classes. After the summer, if they come back to see that suddenly their friend who was a boy until then became a girl, and vice versa, imagine what's happening with them. What do you explain? How do they process that? So please pray for your children and for their friends and for their parents and for their families, because these things are just cannot be stopped except for prayer. Of course, there are other things we can do, but silently pray. Ask the Lord to show you what you can do to be a light in this dark world. I hope you understand. And please search for more information on YouTube. So just search by detransitioners and find out what's happening to these teenagers. We are responsible for the welfare of the city where we live in. Because if the city and the government and the leaders and people around us in our communities are safe, then we will also be safe. So please pray for them. God bless.